Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Duscha Sakhat Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are now wrapping up this text on the Panchadashi, the 15th chapter now, and Vidyaranya talks about how one Brahman, Satchidananda, is all infinite, but it expresses in different objects as a reflection, and the reflecting depends upon the reflecting media. In the non-existence things, we don't have to be concerned because they are non-existent. Only existing things we are to be concerned about, and the existing things, there are varieties. One is the inert material, and taking example of mud or the stone, where only the existence is being expressed, reflected, and superimposed on Brahman only the nama and the rupa. Nama, rupa means the name and a form, attributes. What is the substance? Substance is Brahman. So, but Brahman is imperceptible. Oh, this substance is different from that substance. This is an iron, and that is a gold. Why do you say there is a same substance? Same substance is Brahman, but iron and gold are also superimposed on Brahman only. Just as it's all electrons, photons and neutrons, if you say, then you cannot differentiate anymore the iron versus gold. Everything is electron, proton, neutrons, but even electrons, proton, neutrons are superimposition on Brahman only. How do you say so? Because scientists are trying to find out the fundamental particle. What is the fundamental particle? They call it God particle also, by showing that this is indivisible, that is final particle. But how do you know that's a final particle? Because that's how by breaking atoms until you come up with something, you cannot break any further. That's why it is fundamental particle. That's their definition. That's not fundamental, because that depends upon the guy who is investigating. You are only inquiring into part of the system, because the total system includes both the subject and the object, and only you are looking at the objective world, atoms and so on, and forgetting the subject who is investigating. Oh, subject is also a part of atom. Subject body may be part of atom, but subject is conscious entity. Consciousness cannot be objectified for analysis. Therefore, objective sciences can never investigate the subject, Atma or self, and therefore that is not the methodology that can be used, or the tools that can be used to analyze the subject. And what is the methodology? There is no methodology in principle, but Vedanta points out in the direction for one to meditate on and contemplate on it, because that is the direction Vedanta provides. In that sense, Vedanta is a pramana. Vedanta doesn't say this is Brahman or this is Atma. Vedanta tells you what's not Brahman and what is Brahman, because of which everything else is or exists, and if some or consciousness is reflected, some both consciousness as well as existence and the Ananda also are respected or reflected, and that's what is the meditation. And what we are talking about in the Siladau Namarupe, in this the stone etc. inert things, only the existence part is reflected. In the case of the Rajasic and Tamasic thoughts, both existence and consciousness are reflected. And we'll go to the Sattvic thoughts in the 27. Santa Susatchidanandan Santa Susatchidanandan Trinashevam Vichintaye Kanishta Majjamod Krishnaha Kanishta Majjamod Krishlaha Majjamo Utkrishtaha. So Kanishta Majjamot Krishtaha Trischinta Kramadimah, Trinchanta Kramadimah, Trischinta Kramadimah. Too much sandhi here. Okay. Shanta su Satchidandan, Trinashevam Vichintayed, Kanishta Madhyamat, Krishtaha, Trischinta Kramadimah. Evam, in this way, Shantasu in the case of sattvic thoughts. So, Sat, Chit, Anandan, all the three aspects as we discussed before. And Teen, all the three, Api, Vichintayed, has to be contemplated on. So, leaving the thoughts itself, but that because of which the consciousness as well as the existence and the Ananda are reflected, contemplating on that aspect is essentially involves meditation. That requires very subtle mind, and therefore they call a person who is mature enough, who has purified enough, or who has the viveka. Viveka means that which differentiates, that is which nitya, anicca. What is that is changing? The thoughts are changing, but even though thoughts are changing, constant reflection of the Ananda in the Santa, in the sattvic thoughts. And when I am inquiring into that, who is the inquirer? That's what Ramana Maharshi says, inquire about the inquirer. So even in those thoughts, contemplate on the consciousness that is the inquirer, and that is essentially involves the supreme meditation. Santasu Satchidanandantri Nashevam Ashevam Vichintayed. All the three Santasu Satchid Anandan Trin Api Vichintayed. So Imaha, these three Chinta Kramat respectively, Kanishtaha, Madhyamaha, Utkrishtaha, the lower one, the middle one, and Uttishtaha, the highest one has to, depending upon the maturity of the individual, one go from one level to other level, one to contemplate on that, because of which everything, all the three Satchidananda are being expressed. And that's called Santasu Satchidananda. Satchit Ananda, all the three aspects are there. So meditation has to be done depending upon the nature of the meditator. 28. Mandasya vyavaharepi misya brahmani chintanam utkrishtam vaktume vatra vishayananda iritaha together. Mandasya vyavaharepi misya brahmani chintanam utkrishtam vaktume vatra vishayananda iritaha. So vyavaharepi during the transactional world, mandasya, the one who is in the middle level, that is who can differentiate the satchit aspect in the misya brahman, in the conditioned brahman, Chintanam, contemplation, and Utkrishta Vaktum declared to be the best for him who is completely in the transactional world with the Rajasic and Tamasic thoughts, where he can contemplate on the consciousness and existence aspect in the world as the part of meditation. Eva Atra, in this chapter, Vishayananda Iritam, in the Vishayananda textbook, in the Vishayananda chapter, this has been discussed. Sar Madhyama Adhikari. So 29. Audasi Nietu Dhi dhivrittehi audasinyetu dhivrittehi saudilyaduttamottamam saudilyaduttamottamam chintanam vasananande jnanamuktim chaturvidham chintanam vasananande jnanamuktim chaturvidham. So audasinyi, the being indifferent to dhivruttau of the thoughts, sautilyat, and being weak, vasananande, the one who is indifferent to it, who has a vairagyam of the world, neither likes and dislikes, and he wants to meditate, then he can meditate on the vasanananda that was discussed in the previous chapter. So audisanyati dhivrittehi, if he has indifferent thoughts, I don't care whether for this, I don't care for that, then you contemplate on what is the source of desire. Who is that I for which, because of which the mind is itself is formed? So that's called the vasana anande. So chintanam vasananande jnanam muktim chaturvidham. So in this way one can contemplate on the people who are having audasinyam in terms of no rajasic and tamasic thoughts, but indifferent to everything, and those people contemplate on the vasanananda that was discussed in the previous chapter. It's only summarizing the previous chapters. न ध्यानं ज्ञान योगाभ्याम न ध्यानं योग योगाभ्याम ब्रह्म विद्यैव सा खलु ध्याने नैकाग्र्यमापन्ने चित्ते विद्या स्थिरी भवेत् together. Na dhyana jnana yogabhyam, na dhyanam jnana yogabhyam, brahma vidyaiva sa khalu, dhyane naikagriya mapanne, chitte vidya sthiri bhavet. So here he is coming back to the important aspect here. Jnana yoga abhyam, in the knowledge and the jnana and the yoga that have been discussed in the previous chapters, where the Brahmanande, Vidyananda, Brahmanande, Yogananda, in those chapters, yoga and jnanam is essentially not meditative type. It is an inquiry involved. That means it's not sitting down and meditation and I want to reach by jnanam. So jnanam involves understanding that I am Brahmasmi. That requires an inquiry. That inquiry itself is a sattvic inquiry, because it requires a knowledge and you need a sattva guna for that. And that sattva guna, constant reflection of Ananda will be there all the time. And that inquiry is not like a sitting down and meditating on something, it is inquiry involved. So here is making sure we understand what is jnana yoga means, or what is the jnana and yoga means here in the yoga abhyasam. Here, na dhyanam, it's not a meditation. Jnana yoga abhyam, brahma vidyaiva sa khalu. So it is of the knowledge of Brahman vidya eva, Brahman eva dhyanena. One has to meditate on Brahman. What is a Brahman? As the essence, as the very essence as Atma. Atma upasita, Atma ityopasita. So that you have to meditate on the Atma that I am. I am is pure Satchidananda. It is an inquiry of who is that I am. I am not this, and contemplate on that, because of which the existent consciousness Ananda going to be expressed itself. That is an inquiry with the mind. So dhyane, by meditation, Jnanena ekagyam apanne, by meditation on the Saguna Brahma or all other meditation that we discussed in the above, that either in the rajasic and tamasic thoughts or in the existent thought in the outside, all that in the meditation aspect of it will help in the chitta ekagrata. Concentration helps. But concentration of what? That chitta, mind that is able to concentrate, had to concentrate on the inquiry of what is that nature of that self I am. So that ekagram apanne, having gained that, chitte, that mind, vidya sthire bhavet. On the knowledge, one has to be abiding in that knowledge. So it is a inquiry of I am Brahmasmi has to be understood by the mind, and for that a chitta ekagrata is required, and at the same time a knowledge is required, and both are essentially inquiry in that. So tad vijnasasva tad brahmeti, therefore inquire into the nature of Brahman. Inquiry involves the vichara. Brahmananda vritti now. So 31. Vidyayam Satchidananda, Vidyayam Satchidananda, Akhandaika Rasatmatam, Akhandaika Rasatmatam, Prapya Bhanti Bedena, Prapya Bhanti Nabedena, Bedakopadi Varjanat, Bedakopadi Varjanat, Bedakopadi Varjanat. Together, Vidyayam Satchidananda, Akhandaika Rasatmadam, Prapya Bhanti Nabedena, Vedakopadhi Varjanat. So, Vidyayam, in the knowledge of Brahman, Satchidananda, as Akhanda Eka Rasa Atmatam. It is one broken, because Satchidananda is one broken, unbroken, constant, it is eternal, ever existent, ever consciousness, ever limitless, and that is contemplating on what? Contemplating on I am that Brahman has to be contemplated. When I am Brahman, I am Ananda Swarupa also will be recognized. So Akhanda Eka Rasatmatam, Akhanda Rasa Atmatam. So undivided Akhanda Eka, homogeneous, and that nature of the self, Prapya, having attained, Bedhena, separately, Nabhanti, are known, Sabedaka Upadhivarjanat. So all other things are rejected as not really real, it's only apparently real. That means Brahmasatyam Jagan Mithya aspect of it is rejection, is the unreality of the apparent world. So the Vedaka Upadhi Varjanat, so rejection of all condition of the causing the differences are rejected in the process. So how is this rejection? Here it says in the 32, Santa Ghora Siladhyascha, Shanta Ghora Siladascha, Vedakopadjayo Mataha, Vedakopadjayo Mataha, Yogat Vivekato Vaisham, Yogat Vivekato Vaisham, Upadhi Nama Prakritihi, Upadhi Nama Prakritihi. Together, Shanta Goraha Siladhyascha, Vedakopadjayo Mataha, Yogat Vivekato Vaisham, Upadhi Nama Prakritihi. So Shantaha in the Sattvic, Goraha in the Rajasic, Siladhyaha in the Tamasic, or in the pure existent, Rajasic and Tamasic, and Sukshma Buddhi, and where you have the both Satchidananda and Satchit, and only the Sat aspect, or Vedakaha Upadhyaya. So this difference in the conditioning of the reflecting media is Yogat by yoga, Vivekataha and by discriminative intellect, Eva, or Vivekataha va Isham Upadinam. These conditionings apakrutaha are removed. So by contemplation or by the cognitively you remove out the upadis and concentrate on the Sat Chit Ananda aspect that are expressed in all these upadis. Only Sat aspect in the inert material, Satchit aspect in the Rajasic and Tamasic thoughts, and Satchit Ananda aspects in the Sattvic thoughts. Therefore, one has to reject the Reject means cognitively reject it and contemplate the mind only on that aspect, and that becomes a real meditation, and that becomes a firm abidance in the knowledge. Once I know what is that Brahman that I am. With that we'll see. Nirupadi Brahma Tattve, Nirupadi Brahma Tattve, Bhasamani Swayam Prabhe, Bhasamani Swayam Prabhe, Advaita Triputi Nasti, Advaite Triputi Nasti, Bhumanando, Bhumanando Ta Uchyate, Bhumanando Ta Uchyate. Together, Nirupadi Brahma Tattve, Bhasamani Swayam Prabhe, Advaite Triputi Nasti, Bhumanando, Bhumanando Ta Uchyate. So, Swayam Prabhe in the self-effulgent, Advaite in the non-dual, Nirupadi Brahma Tattvam, that Brahman without any upadi, that means that which Brahman which is pure Satchidananda, that Brahman, Bhasamani, is realized where there is no, the experience is not there. So, I am Brahman, there is not I am experiencing Brahman. I am Brahman. People say, I want to realize Brahman. So, something Brahman is other than that I have to realize. It's not that. They say, I am Brahman. I am Brahman even before also. But I am not able to recognize what is Brahman that I am. I am only taking what I am not as I am. So now I understand that who I am in spite of the apparent upadi differences. So that Brahman is self-shining, therefore is realized, and Triputi Nasti, there is no experience and experiencing are not there, and Bhumananda Uchyate, it is unbroken, infinite, the pure Ananda Swarupam only. So this is essentially wrapping up the text now. Brahmanande Bide Grandhe, Brahmanande Bide Grandhe, Panchamodhyaya Iritaha, Panchamodhyaya Iritaha, Vishayanande Etena, Vishayanande Etena Dvare, Vishayanande Etena Dvare, Dvarenanta Pravishyatam, Dvarenanta Pravishyatam, Vishayananda Etena, Dvarenanta Pravishyatam. So, Brahmananda Bide Grandhe, in the name, this Grandha is called Brahmananda, the last 5 chapters of this Panchadashi. And Panchamaha, this last chapter, 5th chapter, Adhyayaha, and called Vishayananda Iritaha. In the last 15 is the Brahmanande, Vishayananda has been discussed. Etena, by this, Dvarena, as a gateway, Anta Pravishyatam, one should enter. Vishayananda is nothing but Brahmananda only. Through this process, by analysis of where the Ananda is not outside, Ananda is getting from my own self, and using that inquiry, one should enter into this. And the last sloka is called Palasruti. Priyadharihi Hare Neva Hare Nena Priyadharihi Priyadharihi Hare Nena Brahmanandena Sarvada Brahmanandena Sarvada Payascha Praninas Sarvan Payascha Praninas Sarvan Swasritan Suddha Manasan Swasritan Suddha Manasan Priyadharihi Hare Nena Brahmanandena Sarvada Prayascha Praninas Sarvan Swasritan Suddha Manasan. So Anena by this, Brahmanandena, then this Brahmananda, that is this text. Harihi, Lord Vishnu, and Haraha, Lord Shiva, Sarvada, all the time. Priyat, be pleased. Swasritan, and those who take refuge in him, that is Saranagati. Suddha Manasan, those have purified mind, that means not with the mind that I want this and surrendering to the Lord. Sarvan, all Praninaha, beings, Payascha, be protected. So it is a Palashruti, those through this Brahmananda, those who study by the grace of Lord Vishnu and by the grace of Lord Shiva, all those who surrender with a pure mind, let they be protected. So with that we complete the Vidyaranya's Panchadashi. That is the 15 chapters. The first 5 chapters talk about the Sat aspect, the second 5 chapters talk about the Chit aspect, and the last 5 chapters talk about Ananda aspect, and methodically analyze every aspect of it, Sat Chit Ananda, and many of the objections that are raised have been addressed, and this is a very contemplative text, has to be studied again and again and again. And we will go back to chapter 6, which we have not completed completely, so we will fill up the gaps there. Some slokas are left and some part of the later part of the text was not completed. We will be doing that, so that all the 15 chapters are available through the benefit of this, thanks to the Advaita Academy. They are being available in the YouTube, and if you go to Acharya Sadaji, you can find all this. Right now it is in the live stream, and they will be converted into YouTube format, and they already have up to the 10th chapter, and 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 that we covered recently will also be uploaded into the YouTube, and we will be going back to the 6th chapter to complete this text before we take any other text. With this we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.